Smith.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm grateful to be speaking here today supporting a government that has delivered a Labour budget, a budget that has ended the child benefit cap, including benefiting 1,150 children in my constituency in North Northumberland. It's tackling the cost of living by reducing household energy bills by £150 from next April, which is raising much needed funds for our public services by increasing taxation on online gambling and on homes worth over £2 million mansions, and another rise in the national minimum wage. This is a Labour budget with Labour values that is going to achieve so much. It will positively impact millions of lives, and I'm proud to support it. And so it is with a heavy heart, and this will come as no surprise to the Minister, that the one thing I remain concerned about in the budget is the overarching changes to inheritance tax for farmers. I'm grateful that the Chancellor has listened to my concerns and concerns of my colleagues in the backbenches and has made an adjustment. The expansion of the transferability of inheritance tax allowance to widows retrospectively is welcome. It's a compassionate change, and it will mean that widows will be able to add their deceased spouse's allowance to their own to benefit their children on their death, an effective doubling of their allowance, and that is to be welcomed. But I do remain concerned about the long-term impact of the policy. In my constituency of North Northumberland, there are 710 farms, and over the past year I've met with at least 90 farmers. I'm not from a farming background, and this past year has been a steep learning curve for me. And so I've been deeply moved by the generosity, respect and patience shown to me by farming constituents. They've opened their homes and their lives to me, and they tell me that the inheritance tax status quo meant stability. Farm estates could transfer smoothly from one generation to another without their work being interrupted by lengthy processes. So in addition to the allowance for transfer for widows, I'd urge the Government to consider an elderly farm exemption so that those surprised by this change in their old age are able to retire with dignity. One farmer recently wrote to me saying, "My father with his father and brothers worked to buy our farm. He wanted to pass that to me 10 years ago. The legal advice at that point was to do this on death. Now, 80 years old, he has dementia, unable to make any decision on his own, and this power of attorney, me, is unable to act on his behalf." Madam Deputy Speaker, agriculture has faced headwinds for many years, not least under the last Conservative government. Energy prices rocketed and dodgy trade deals with Australia and New Zealand undercut their produce. Farmers have also had to contend with unusually difficult weather patterns, too hot, too dry or too wet. Now, by 2029-2030, the changes that we're talking about will only have raised £520 million. That sounds like a lot, but it's less than 2 days' debt interest. So I ask, in the light of widespread farming opposition to this policy, will the Government keep this policy under review in its first 2 years? And if the fears of farmers are established as facts, look to alter the policy accordingly. Because there is a better way forward. If we raise the threshold at which IHT kicks in, if we cut the relief for those above it, and de-link APR and BPR, if we can protect those who need protecting and invite those who can pay more to pay more. The Minister knows that the minimum share rule is just one example of that. And the Minister may observe that this change would draw more estates into the policy. But although the number of estates brought into the policy under the minimum share rule may grow, these estates would by definition have larger assets which are less likely to be involved in a working farm and therefore more disposable. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is exceptionally hard out there for farmers, and yet from the wee small hours to late at night and without family holidays or long weekends, they put in the work to make sure that we all have food on the table. As one farmer said to me, "My childhood included no Christmas, homemade clothes, food grown from the veg plot. It was a frugal upbringing. Even now there are no lavish holidays. Holidays are scarce, the house roof leaks, windows aren't fit for purpose and damp and mould prevails in the house. A private landlord can't allow his tenants to live like this, but we accept these conditions, that's okay. But the proposal will bring a tax bill of £400,000. We're a modest hill farm and we can't make that kind of profit in 20 years, never mind 10. Most farmers don't farm to become wealthy, they farm because it's a way of life. In 1947, the Labour Party brought in the Agriculture Act, which was the first great sustained support for British farming. And we have the opportunity to do it again. Farmers need us, they need stability and they want a fairer system. There's still time to achieve this. £520 million in a £1.3 trillion budget will not be the difference to our fiscal stability, but it will make all the difference in the world to the flourishing of British farming, including those in North Northumberland.
Martin Rhodes.